You've seen me do some mental gymnastics to connect books to wreath making, Thanksgiving menu planning, and even cleaning my basement. So when Meg tagged me in the trick or treat tag created by Heather from Heather Reads and Meg from Books Off the Beaten Path, how could I say no? Because when Meg and Heather are involved, things are always going to get a little bit extra. So this tag has two parts: tricks for the books that fooled you or failed you, and treats for the ones that made me forgive every reading slump I've ever had. Basically, it's a literary Halloween grab bag. Some chocolate, some raisins, maybe one loose cough drop, and a penny or two. I'm Nick. This is Dr. Cranky Pants Reads. And if you've been here before, you know the chaos is seasonal, but the opinions are eternal. Let's get started. Every reader has a few skeletons in their TBR. Mine just happened to be buried properly. Welcome to the graveyard of tricks, where we'll find 5 books that didn't quite survive my best intentions. So I wanted this one to wreck me in the best possible way. They both die at the end, completely destroyed me. 2 boys, 1 doomed day, and somehow it made being alive feel urgent. So I brewed tea, cleared my weekend, and opened the first to die at the end. And it was beautiful. So beautiful. Constantly, relentlessly, aggressively beautiful, that I started wondering if I'd stumbled into a skincare commercial. Yes, these characters are gorgeous, I get it, but tell me who they are. Where's the ache, that urgency, the pulse that made the first book just so good? By page 50, I realized the real tragedy wasn't who died. It was the story that never really lived. Okay, let's move on before the mirror fogs up again. So I went into Verity thinking, okay, domestic suspense, unreliable narrators, chaos. I'm totally in. Actually, I blame this on my students because they recommended it over and over and over again. But halfway through, I was asking myself if the book was gaslighting me, or if I was just dehydrated. Every chapter dangled a new, maybe this, maybe that. It's less plot twist, more motion sickness. And I love unreliable narrators as much as the next person. I just don't like feeling like I'm in a group project with one. And everyone kept telling me that I just needed to hold on until the end, that the twist that was coming was going to make it all worthwhile. Well, dear viewer, I did not make it that far. So I put it down, lit a candle, and whispered, "Not today, Verity, not today." Okay, let's keep walking before this one starts whispering back. Now this one right here, this should have been my thing. A hidden library, historical adventure, middle grade magic. Like, that's my whole personality in a single pitch. But instead of letting history breathe, it modernized everything. The slang, the sensibility, even the worldview. It's like someone dropped a vlogger into the Blitz and told her to narrate. And I'm all for connecting kids with the past, but you can't rewrite it into fanfic that runs on Wi-Fi. There's a limit to suspension of disbelief. And this book took a flying leap past it. By chapter 8, I had completely stopped turning pages and started sighing audibly. So here it rests. A good idea buried under anachronisms. All right, let's go find a book that died of something other than time travel. You ever pick up a book that wants to teach you something and halfway through you realize it's grading you as well? That's Finding Junie Kim. This book starts with a great premise, and then every page feels like it's been highlighted for discussion. It felt like there was no room to think. Every emotion is pre-interpreted. Every theme is underlined twice. And look, I love books that make a point, but I also like a little ambiguity, some space to wrestle, maybe disagree, and definitely reflect. But this one wouldn't let me. As a reader, I feel like this is one of those books that was written by adults to make adults feel better about representation in children's literature. I felt like the last student left in class while the professor just kept talking. And so I quietly packed my backpack and dropped the course. Let's keep moving. The next grave definitely has better lighting, but much worse boundaries. So this one was supposed to be fun. An office comedy in a fantasy world, what could go wrong? Turns out everything. It starts cute, and then quickly turns into The Devil Wears Prada meets Beauty and the Beast, if HR had already resigned. The tone shifts from fairy tale parody to TikTok sketch to maybe this is a toxic workplace romance, and somewhere in there I just stopped laughing. I can handle morally gray, I can handle messy. But not when books' ideas of foreplay is power imbalance. So I closed it, wished the assistant well, and I hope she negotiated for benefits and a good severance package. Well, that's the last of the tricks. Let's head for the gate before one of these resurrects itself as a streaming series. And there they are, 5 books that promised candy and handed me raisins. Or pennies. But no hard feelings, because every reader has a few like this. Stories that weren't bad, but just not meant for us. So let's change the vibe, because Halloween isn't only about things that go wrong in the dark. It's also about the books that keep the lights on, ones worth staying up for when all the candy's gone. So let's head home and talk about some treats. All right, the DNFs are buried, the graveyard is behind us, and I've probably offended at least one English department, but now it's time for treats. 5 books I actually love and 5 opportunities to question my life choices. Oh, I know this one. Eerie Beverly, The Cat Hat, The Composure, The Fate Scent of Taste Superiority. Meow. That's right, a perfectly enunciated meow. Of course it is. And you get Home Cooking by Laurie Colwin. It's a collection of essays that read kind of like therapy sessions disguised as dinner parties. She writes about joy, failure, chicken, and grace, all with the energy of someone who keeps her kitchen messy on purpose because it's charming. Colwyn is the rare writer who makes imperfection aspirational. So like you, but with seasoning. Exactly. Also, your sound is making me question my self-worth. So take your book and your full-size candy bar and leave before I start crying. Okay. Seems we peaked early. Self-esteem 0. Moving on. Trick or treat. Oh no, are you okay? Should I call a contractor or maybe a therapist? Oh, wait, hold on. You're Kevin Towell's latest haul. That makes sense. The optimism here, the optimism is loud. Loud. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'll read them all. Eventually. Sure, and I'll stop buying pens I don't need. Anyway, Life After Life by Kate Atkinson. Ursula Todd keeps dying and starting over, each time inching a little closer to redemption. It's a novel about second chances, memory, and how persistence can be heroic and exhausting all at once. Here you go. Atkinson makes time itself feel like a character, and somehow you'll never want it to end. So an uplifting tragedy? My favorite genre. Exactly. Read it. Cry. Maybe build a smaller TBR pile. Also, when this falls on you again, I'm not filing an incident report. Foreshadowing. Love that for me. Love it. Ugh, Alan Reed's. I know this one. Nope. All right. We could never be that cool. Or that British. Correct. I'm your constant need for approval. Freshly glued onto some high-quality corrugated cardboard. Of course you are. You're glowing with desperation. For you, Building a Second Brain by Tiago Forte. It's a guide to offloading ideas, tasks, and half-baked genius into a system that makes sense later. I used it to organize my teaching files, my channel notes, my existential dread. Now every thought I've ever had is neatly filed under maybe useful someday. But will it make people like us? Definitely not, but our folders are going to look immaculate. So, form over function. Welcome to BookTube. Take the book, take the candy, leave me to my metrics. You wrote this. I did, and I regret nothing. Also, everything. The spoiler safety inspector? Routine check. You've had 3 emotional devastation violations this quarter. Look, when you're not monetized, you gotta reuse the costumes. You gotta get your money's worth somehow. You realize that's not how OSHA works, right? Fine. You get The Great Believers by Rebecca Makkai. It's dual timelines, 1980s Chicago during the AIDS crisis and modern-day Paris. Gail Tishman is one of the most vividly human characters I have ever read. This book broke me and rebuilt me without asking permission. It's about art, memory, and the kind of love that outlasts the people who made it. It's both haunting as well as hopeful, sometimes on the same page. I'll allow it. But only if you post a trigger warning the next time you mention feelings. Also, the uniform's feeling a little snug. We still running? Done. Now take your candy and your clipboard and go inspect someone else's heartache. Oh, perfect. A ghost. Not just any ghost. I'm your upload schedule. You ghosted me. Wow. Low blow from someone in a queen-sized flannel sheet. And you get Stoner by John Williams. It's quiet, it's devastating, and it's probably the single best argument for showing up even when nobody's watching. William Stoner just does his work, teaches, reads, endures. I'm actually really trying to emulate this at the moment. And somehow it's riveting. There's no melodrama, no redemptive arc, just quiet persistence. So the opposite of your content calendar. Exactly, which is why I need it. It's my annual reminder that success isn't volume, it's integrity. Cute. Maybe upload integrity next time. Wow. Ghosting and roasting. Love that. Love that for us. Love it. Also, you left 6 unfinished scripts in the drafts folder. Okay, you've made your point. Take the book, take your candy, and vanish before I schedule you for next Tuesday. And that's the candy bowl. 5 great books, and one man clearly in a creative spiral. Should I be worried? Anyway, home cooking, cozy chaos with butter, life after life makes morality feel like a group project. Building a second brain helps me pretend I'm functional. The Great Believers wrecks me every single time. And Stoner. Ooh, that's the one that keeps me grounded when everything else gets loud. I appreciate you, as always, and happy Halloween from myself, Phyllis, and Rhoda, and whatever this whole shtick has been. May all your candy be full size, and your books unforgettable, and your upload schedule slightly less haunted than mine. If that's my StoryGraph backlog dressed as a vampire, I'm switching to cooking videos.